We're three guys who like to talk pinball, so we came up with a clever name. We're Joel and Travis down who talk pinball, and we call ourselves Triple Drain, Triple Drain, Triple Drain. We're Triple Drain.
All right. I have been told that apparently you want the beginning of a YouTube video or a podcast to be engaging. You want people not to click away. So being that we already played a theme song, you've probably already clicked away. But if you haven't clicked away at this point, I don't care about either of your days. I don't want to catch up.
Thanks.
I just want to dive right into the hot topics, right? We just there's no reason for
Joel's hot.
banter.
It's getting hot in here.
Wow. Well, yeah. Hot topics.
Joel's golf cart caught on fire. Oh my God.
Golf cart. I got a new golf cart. I sold the old one, got a new one, and it is excellent. Excellent. Which is a hot topic. I mean, we could really dive in there if that would, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this is dumb. Tom, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks, Joel.
You're just
Just skip over Travis.
No, the reality is, if people have listened or watched this podcast to this, they know what they've signed up for. They know what they've signed up for.
No, I think our intros are fine. I know what Joel's referring to here, Tom, because we talked about this. All I was referring to is I've noticed a pattern that every single podcast we have, at least recently in the past few months, is Joel apologizing for us not doing a podcast before. So
yeah,
we just need to get you, since we have our own YouTube channel now, Joel, just release like an apology video every other week between podcasts.
We have lives, people. We just don't sit in front of the camera all the time.
100%. And sure, there's enough. There's enough stuff that I could understand. I could understand how people do a podcast a week or even two. Like, I could get it. There's enough little stuff. But the reality is, if we were to talk about something once a week, like I would hope our podcasts are like less than 30 minutes. It's just, otherwise you're just repeating yourself. And
why?
Even
That's all content creation is, Joel.
It's just repeating.
It's just all of us knuckleheads repeating ourselves in different ways. If you guys want to know, everybody watching this, listening to this, as a content creator, I will tell you the secret to content creation. We all say the same shit. We just all say it in different ways.
Yeah. Well, okay, yeah, but do we? Yeah, we probably do. I mean, we've gotten to the point, if it's not obvious at this point, we're kind of looking at once a month. We'd love to do, once every 3 weeks or reacting more to the news. But the good news is, I mean, there's been a lot of pinball that's happened. And so the fear is always you record an episode and then, 2 days later, a game's revealed or something like that. But anyways, here we are. We'll just go ahead and start off with last episode.
Yes, let's talk about last episode on this new episode.
Which is exactly what you don't want us to do. I was going to save it.
Hey, you did. You saved it for the first 4 minutes. Good job, buddy.
I mean, I can put, you know what? I'll put a pin in it.
No. You've opened up Pandora's box.
We'll come back to it.
So, Tom, we did this episode at the Stern Pinball Factory, right?
It was an amazing experience. I mean,
it was something.
First, we're like, we're just gonna interview Keith Elwin, and then all of a sudden, we're interviewing like most of the people at Stern. It was pretty awesome.
We were just running through the hallways, just pulling anybody in, is what it became.
It was awesome. I mean, the truth was, we all knew we were going to the media event, so we're like, hey, bring the mics. We'll go ahead. We'll try to record when we're there. And they set it up really cool this time, where there was like factory demo or factory floor tour, and then there was Keith and the team like spoke about the game, and then they had set up time where each content group or content creator could have one-on-one with the game for like 15-20 minutes, and then there was just a big block of time open outside of that. And so we're like, hey, bring your stuff, we'll record an episode. And the goal was, let's just plan on recording a quick initial impression of King Kong. That was our thought. And we've had Keith Elwin on before. It's one of Travis's favorite memories because of how horrific it went for Travis and his technology. So we knew we wanted Keith on again. So Zach Sharp was there, and we're like, hey, we're going to record. Do you have a place we can set up? And he's like, hey, take the conference room. Like, that's awesome, And so we set up in there. Once again, thinking it was just the three of us. And he's like, do you need anything? You need a water or any of that? It's like, well, we were planning on actually talking to Keith for a little bit, and he's like, oh, I'll go get him. He's out on the floor. So Keith came in once again. We thought we talked for him for 15
We
minutes.
literally
just
stopped the production line because we were interviewing Keith.
They
Sorry.
all halted everything. We hit the big red button and nothing moved. Yeah. But that was the thought. 15 minutes of Keith, maybe 30, 45 minutes of us talking, call it a day. And long story short, we interviewed Keith. It went great. Then I made a passing comment. Hey, Keith, is there anybody else we should talk to? He's like, you should talk to Chuck. We end up interviewing Chuck Ernst. He was awesome. 30 minutes of, once again, not trying to take too much of his time, 30 minutes of him. We finish up with him. Hey, Chuck, is there anybody we should talk to? Hey, Jeremy Packard's trying to leave the building. So we stopped him from going home, talked to Zombie Eddie for 30 minutes. And then after that, I thought we were done. And no, Travis saw Gary Stern walking by and somehow brought in Gary Stern with Matthew Greer. Is that it? Gear? Something.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was I don't know about you guys, but it's like with this, what this podcast is, for the three of us to be sitting down in Stern across the table from Gary Stern. I didn't think that was going to happen. I did not see that on my bingo chart.
I tell everybody we are two idiots with mics and we got Tom.
yes.
That's what we are.
So somehow just fell into that one. And then, so here at this point, we're 2+ hours into interviews and it's like, well, anybody else? And I was like, George Gomez is always good to talk to. And Gomez was an hour. We talked to him and we could have talked to him more. So we ended up not doing our initial impressions at all. We just had this amazing 3-hour plus conversation with that group. Super fortunate to just be in the right place at the right time.
I think Dwight was actually mad at you, Joel.
Oh, for not bringing him in?
No,
too?
You were holding up his game.
Oh, that's right. He had there was a game afterwards, like he did not a board game, but it was kind of a game. Travis played it, but yeah, shout out to Dwight. It was good.
But I'm not going to reveal any secrets to that.
Oh.
Yeah, you had to be there. That's what it is.
So it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. And then honestly, we got a ton of feedback on that episode, multiple messages, everything. So thank you for everybody that listened to that, enjoyed that. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. I would be surprised because it's easily our most listened to episode ever. And we're on episode 64. So it was awesome. And honestly, I'd love to do it again. So maybe we'll have another mega episode like that again down the road. So thanks again. Okay, now
that we've kissed Stern's ass, we're going to get to the bottom.
Now we start with the hot stuff, right? The hot topics. This is how many minutes are 7? Okay, now we've already. Anyways, King Kong. It's right here behind me. I have this is Zach's LE that he's letting me borrow. I streamed it the other night. Travis opened one at the Pinball Company. He's played a bunch of it. Tom had us one at Lumberjack Johnny's, right? Or where is it that you have one? Because you played it.
Don't.
I thought you played it. Isn't there a King Kong you played
this? I explained this in our chat.
How'd I miss this?
Because you don't read.
Well, you've played it. Though.
I played it at Stern, and then I played it at Pinball at the Zoo, and that was the last time I played it.
I swear I saw a picture of it. Looked like you were on location and somebody was, you were playing Wick. You were playing Wick.
The whole audience right now is seeing the real Joel come out. We talked to him on these chats and yep. He's just like, hey guys, look at the rims on my new golf cart. No. Like, this is awesome.
I think
we're like, let's talk pinball, Joel.
I think I've said like one thing about a golf cart, like one time outside of
this. There's a selfie of him like driving it with his sunglasses and his dog, and
it must have made an impact. Travis,
I get those pictures every day. Of course they do.
I actually said I was going to get an LE, and I changed my mind.
Yep.
What'd you end up going with, Tom Graf?
The Pro.
And why did you do that? We can start from there. Why did you go Pro?
Money. No.
You like money. So you're going to resell the Pro? It's going to skyrocket in value?
Let's flip it.
Is that what you're saying?
No. I really thought long and hard about it, like for about a week. And really, I was driving down to Pinball at the Zoo, and we had just finished up at Stern, and I was like, I think I like the Pro better. And, after some long debates, playing it more at Pinball at the Zoo, I just decided, I'm going to get the Pro. I think I'm just pretty happy with that. I bought the last this will be my 4th pro in a row. So, but yeah. So
Who is this? Who is this person?
I know.
I don't
Joel
even
is
know.
in shock.
Well, so I think honestly, I think it's a good purchase. And what I mean is, let's dive into it. Godzilla in my mind, you got to go premium. You got to go premium because of how much there's so many changes to that game with the building, the diverter in that building, the Mecha Godzilla. I think you got to go premium. Do you guys agree? Premium or no? Do you think?
I prefer the premium.
I think
I
premium's
prefer
as
the
somebody that
premium, but
sells
I
the
could,
games.
Yeah, I could live with the pro.
Yeah, as somebody that sells the games, I want people to buy everything. But if somebody asked me, I'd be like, yeah, the premium to me is the
Premium's
more
the way
fun
to go.
game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jaws.
Premium.
I think you got to go premium.
Yeah.
I think you got to go premium. Jurassic Park.
Funny thing is, I had a pro for a while, and I upgraded to the premium for Jurassic Park. So, and it's not
Travis?
to say I might not do that for Kong. Not that Joel's
true.
I mean, I got this
You got
behind
the
me,
30th.
the 30. But I mean, I like the Pro though. So
Yeah.
I've also had an Iron Maiden LE, but I downgraded to an Iron Maiden Pro, which I have now. I had an Avengers LE, which was like my Grail pin, but I played it so much and I have access to it at any time at work. So went ahead and let that go. And I could get an Avengers Pro. I was going to do that as well. But, that game I think is just fine as well. So I think you could go either way. I mean, it's like anything else. All these releases, you could justify getting a premium over a pro a lot of the times. Then you could also go the other direction and justify why you can live with a pro and not have to worry about the premium and be perfectly happy with it.
Sure. And so just to be fair, yes, a Godzilla Pro, a Jaws Pro is better than a lot of games on the market. But I do think what is in a Godzilla Premium or a Jaws Premium is a substantial difference, worthy enough that I think you kind of got to go premium to when you own those games. If you disagree with us, write a comment on the tell us why we're wrong. But you're right. I think Iron Maiden a pro is great. I think Jurassic Park a pro is great. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting with King Kong, and it's nothing against what's here because I have the LE here. It's just what's amazing, in my opinion, what's absolutely amazing about King Kong is the shots and the layout, and the fact that Keith designed it in a way that the shots and the layout are identical. Like, if this is one of those, I just feel like if you're a pinball enthusiast, I think Kong Pros are going to sell incredibly well because fine, okay, you don't want to fork over the money for a premium, but like if you got the room, I could see this game fitting in everyone's collection. This game is incredible. The way that it shoots is insanely good. And if you want to save money, you're going to get that you're going to get that same experience with a pro. Now, with that said, I like the Gong. I really, really like the Gong. And this is something the three of us have already been giving each other a hard time for. Travis hates it. He's scared of it. And because it fights back and it can lead to some nasty drains. Like that is something.
I literally saw you drain on it.
When I tried to backhand it. Yep.
No, when you forehanded
that
it.
necessarily. Yeah, when he forehanded it too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Joel, we see you drain all the time, buddy.
I'm
numb.
I'm numb to it. I'm numb to it. I blew it up at the end of the stream.
Here's my only issue with the Gong. Right? Okay. It's not that it's a bash. Like, that's fine, right? It adds something to do. I like the Iron Maiden skeleton of the rule set, right? Or the framework of that rule set that you got to hit various amounts of shots in order to light your modes, your scenes, whatever. So the fact that I see that on the Pro for Kong, like for me, it lends me to pay more attention to that rather than just hitting the same shot twice in order to get to a scene, which is what you're going to do on the Premium and the LE. But that being said, if I could get a Premium and be able to set it to where I start the modes like I would on a Pro or qualify them, then to me, that would be perfectly fine. I would much rather do that personally. That's just my personal taste. So it's not the Gong itself. It's just how the game reacts in terms of getting you or how the game gets you to qualify a seed. That's my issue.
Yeah. I would say the gong, it's not as chaotic as a pop bumper, and it's not as like brutal as like the one of the kickback shots, like the rocket raccoon on Guardians, or what is it on F-14, the you know what I'm saying, like the shot on the left. Like,
know
it's
what you're
not,
saying? We're just going to see if you're going to actually get it out.
No, there's no
It's
way.
called a kicker.
It's not as dangerous as that, but it is. Now that you've said it, you know, to qualify a mode on a premium or LE of King Kong, you're having to hit a dangerous thing. So it'd be the equivalent on Godzilla as like, to start a battle, you have to aim for the pop bumper and hit the pop bumper 3 times.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
So I understand the chaos, but I would say, at least on mine, the way that mine's set up, I felt you just, if you're prepared for it mentally, it's like, okay, I'm aiming at this shot. I'm not going to backhand it. I'm going to forehand it and then be prepared to react. But once you've qualified it, I did see that I could backhand it. I could backhand the gong because it's not going to kick back at that point. It will actually just feed through. So it was safer than what I experienced at Media Day. Media Day, it was pretty brutal. So I don't know. I don't know if that's set up my particular physical mech, or if they've changed something in the code to make it. I don't know, but I'm not scared of the gong. I think that's something that you can learn to work with it. So I don't look at it as a negative anymore. And I think that was something that some people were, if they were between pro and premium, they're like, well, I don't want to deal with the gong kind of thing. But
I mean, it ultimately, again, just depends if you view it as a bash toy, right? I think it's very easy for the end consumer or for whoever's playing the game not to view that mech as a classic bash toy, because it doesn't look like a classic bash toy.
No, yeah.
Right? When you compare it to like the Well Walker on Walking Dead, that's very prominent. It's out there on its own. When you see, something like the gong, it's obviously an entrance to something else. So it's very easy for people not to make that connection that it acts as a bash toy, right? And then even when you hit it, because of the direction it's at, it's always guaranteed to come right back at you at the flippers. It's somehow, right? It's not going to hit off there and ricochet over to the left side or ricochet over to the right or anything like that. So I think that's the main thing, is just people wrapping their minds around that and their heads around that. And I don't think it's going to be a detriment at all. I think the mech is just fine as it is. I think the main thing is just making sure that it's used in a way that makes it fun for people. And I think they do that well afterwards. Like when you start a scene, you got to go back through there to add on 15 seconds. Or if you're in a multi-ball, the King Kong multi-ball, you got to hit it twice to add a ball. So there's reasons to use it. And there's even like at the end of one of the modes, I think it's save and it starts a hurry up there at the end too. So there's all kinds of ways that they could incorporate it in that it's fun in general. And I think that's what we'll see as the code continues to mature.
Yeah, I think it's a great mech. I'm enjoying that. And other mechs that are unique with the premium and LE, the spider. Like the spider, my son, that's what he saw, and he thinks that's the coolest thing ever. I think it is cool. I think it is a cool thing. Does it really affect gameplay one way or the other? No. But it is a cool mech. And if I bought a pro, I would assume somebody's going to make a mod, and I could see everybody, pro or premium, one day ending up with some sort of spider over that magnet. I'm so grateful that the magnet is still included in the pro, because it is cool when it grabs the ball and holds onto it.
The pro's absolutely loaded. If you look at it, incredible. If you look at it from the standpoint, the point of view of mechs and what mechs are, it's absolutely loaded. And we've talked about this before off podcast, that I think a lot of times when people think of mechs, they think of it beyond drop targets or beyond magnets, beyond anything that interacts with the ball that visually they're used to seeing on other games. I think some people out there tend to think of a mech as having to be something that's so innovative that they've never seen before, that does something to the ball that they've never seen. And that's where they draw the conclusion that, well, a game must not have that great of mechs if it doesn't have that. So I think, though, as a pinball player, if you look at how King Kong is, especially on the pro, it's got a lot to it. I mean, it's got 4 flippers, it's got 2 spinners, it's got drop targets, it's got stand-up targets behind there, it's got
button controlled diverter.
Yes,
That diverter,
yeah, exactly.
Let's the log diverter. Maybe one thing I think a lot of people when they talk about mechs,
Kickback.
it's they want a mech that's unique to that game. So that's why like pop bumpers don't get credit, flippers don't get credit, ramps typically don't get credit because it's like, well, there's ramps in every game, you know. But they want a unique. What's the unique thing? And just to finish up the King Kong on Premium and LE, the King Kong moves. He moves. My son thinks that's awesome. I will tell you, when you're playing it, you don't really notice. You don't really notice because it is back there in the corner. But it is an amazing mech for everybody else to enjoy or watch while you're playing. And then it is a cool moment when he wrecks the train. But I also, to me, it's like I could understand why people would be willing to give that up for the pro. And that's why I think the pro, you said it, Travis, is so loaded because the shots are all there. If the log diverter, let's talk about the log diverter. If the log diverter was not on the pro, that alone would be reason enough that I would tell people you got to go premium. And the fact that Keith was kind enough to not remove, the biplane ramp. Let's say that thing was out. Let's say the ramp in the back that feeds over to the upper flipper. If something like that would be removed from the game, I tell you right now, you got to go premium. But the fact that the pro has all of that in the game is incredible. The log diverter, the fact that you as a user can control when you want that ball, kind of, I'm saying upper playfield. It's not an upper playfield, but that upper left is such a unique pathway to feed that ramp or to shoot the drops. And the fact that you can control when you want to do that, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And I think Elwin even made a comment that initially that flipper was just floating, and they realized it wasn't being fed enough. And so it seems like that diverter was kind of a later design choice, and it makes such an impact on the game.
Well, yeah, not only that, it gives you access to that far left ramp, which is the Cliffs ramp. It gives you access to extra awards. It gives you access to control river awards how you want to by letting the ball bypass the diverter and go down and feed your left flipper. It allows you to treat that upper area like a mini playfield, right? And it's not a classic mini playfield where you're just stuck there grinding out. You could be in and out pretty quick, and you can choose to exit there by 3 different ways, either going up the ramp, letting it fall down back to the flippers, or letting it go through the river area. So you could do those three things. And then also, not just the diverter part, what I really love about that area that I think is brilliant is that the drop targets themselves, not only where they're at, the location of it, but the fact that this game up front has made drop targets matter. They matter greatly because they lead to lighting your locks, qualifying your locks up the middle for the Kong multi-ball. They lead to you having a sweep combo that you could do. That's such a unique combination that I don't know about you two. I've tried to think of any other game that's had something like that to where you could sweep drops and lead all the way back around to an upper flipper to hit a side ramp with it. And I've been digging and digging and digging, and I can't remember any game from a long time ago that's done that, any modern game. I don't know if any listeners out there can remember. I don't know.
Yeah, right in. Yeah.
But that right there. And then on top of that, you have to, when you're in Kong multi-ball, what else do you have to do with the drops? Do you guys remember?
Hit them.
Hit them to do what?
Isn't that how you can lock a ball again at the...
Well, you use that to light your jackpots. So not only that, you can also use them to qualify your Kong combo. So there's just so much that goes on with those drops that really make things matter. And I don't remember the last time that drops have really mattered this much since maybe Avengers Infinity Quest or Rush. Because in those games, the drops did really mean something if you wanted to go down that road. So I'm very curious to see how they really flesh out the drop targets even more on this game.
Tom, do you feel... difficulty wise, I know you said you only played it a few times at the media event, Pinball at the Zoo. Difficulty wise, where do you feel that this game lands in the realm of an Elwin design with just the layout?
I think at first maybe a little harder, but then as you get used to the shots, maybe slightly easier. I think there's just so much good flow in the game and everything that I think all levels of players are gonna enjoy it, kind of thing.
I I personally think that's well put. I think you step up into Godzilla, and it's not rocket science on finding the shots. Like, you can find them all. Maybe the hardest shot being the scoop. But a novice can walk up to Godzilla and go, "Oh, okay." Same with Jaws, because Jaws, is kind of open layout in that sense. I think you can walk up to Jaws and understand pretty clearly, like, okay, these are the shots, these are how to hit it. But yet there are shots on Jaws that are challenging, even for when you've had the game for a long time. Like, there still are more challenging shots. My initial impression of King Kong at Media Day was I thought it was kind of a harder layout because it wasn't so
Yeah.
obvious what to do. But now that I've had it in the house, once you know where the shots are, they're repeatable and they're consistent. I remember making a comment that at Media Day that the back left orbit shot was a challenge. And Keith goes, "Really? That's actually one of the widest shots on the game." Now that I've had it in the house, yeah, it is. Like, you can really find these shots. And once you find them, the way this layout's designed, you can combo so much. And so I was actually surprised when I streamed it the other night with my brother. Our ball times were pretty high. And that's just because the layout, once you find the shots, it just flows so well. So if the question is it easier than Godzilla? Travis, do you think it's easier than Godzilla?
I would probably venture to say yes, the way that you approach it. Because, I mean, the game's not clunky. Like, that's the
No.
reality of it. It's not clunky. I'm sure. I mean, we've heard reports, of some areas, like, like the gong might be, like, that area might be rejecting, or somebody's left ramp or something like that. I've heard that a couple of times. But by and large, everybody that we've sold the game to have all reported back that, yeah, the game's playing great. I know the one that I have, the specific copy I have, that sucker just flies. Like, even if you hit the center spinner and you go down the river during the rapids, holy
Yeah.
cow. Like, it feels like 100-mile-an-hour fastball coming through there. But at the same time, and I mentioned this on a YouTube video that I have coming out here pretty soon, but somebody from Stern, I won't say their name just for their sake, but they said something.
It was Gary Stern.
No, they said something to me about Kong that was so profound to me that I was just like, yes, that's the exact phrase that I've been thinking this whole time. I could never conceptualize it. And this makes so much sense. And they said that this game makes it to where you can stumble into greatness.
Mm,
And after hearing about what you did, Joel,
I
on the
stumbled.
game,
Dude, that's how I roll, man.
I mean, pretty much the game makes you feel great when you play it. And that's the feeling I got when I first played it. That's why I gave it the raving review I had, outside of the
Yeah.
theme, outside of the art. Like, those can be whatever opinions people have. But when I'm looking at it from a very specific gameplay standpoint, do I feel good stepping up, hitting a shot? Do I feel good about the shots from left to right? Do I have fun exploring the playfield? And this game checks all those boxes for me, unlike any game that I can think of in recent memory. I mean, all games can be fun, right? We can play pinball. We've all done it before at TPF, where we go find one of the oldest, most beat up games on the whole entire floor, and the three of us just laugh our asses off playing
Sure.
it, right? It's fun, right? Pinball's fun. But then there's a time that you step up that you're just like, when you play something and you start hitting the flippers, you start hitting shots, you just go, oh, like,
Yeah.
this is what pinball is. And that's the way I feel about Kong.
Well,
And I haven't felt that way in a long time about the layouts that have been around.
yeah. I think you're saying it's brought meaning into your life again. That's what it was. That the word?
Oh,
Were those
yeah,
the words?
completely. Yeah, sorry, Monica. It took the King Kong layout to do
or
that.
the kids.
Yeah, or them. Yeah, I have them
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
He's never
it's
leaving
fun-
the house.
It's just, dude, it's a fun game, right?
Yes.
It's just straight out. It's just fun to play. And, when I play pinball, I don't know about you guys. Okay. So there's and we can kind of segue to the next talking point about this. When we talk about pinball themes, right?
Okay.
I've played plenty of games. I'm not going to call them out, but I played plenty that I'm like, yeah, this theme is great. And then I start playing it. And because the layout isn't very fun, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
how much theme immersion there is. I'm just not having fun because the shots just are not fun. If I want to
Yeah.
have theme immersion of something, I'll just watch a YouTube video with it cranked up to 100 on the volume in a dark room and close my eyes. Right. So
Yeah.
I want something that's tactile. I want to feel it when I'm playing. Right. It's very like a haptic feedback. So something like that, that's the way I look at it. That's what I look for first. And if it happens to be a theme that I like, that I enjoy, that makes it just so much better. But I bought tons of games though that I don't even care about the theme. I mean, I have a freaking EM right over there with like 2 women just standing there next to a clown called Jumping Jack. Like it's not a theme I enjoy, but
Is the
don't make me
artwork
go-
busy on that?
Like, wow.
yeah. Is
I
it
just
comic
realized
book
my-
like?
Yeah.
My expression lights on King Kong are unplugged. I unplugged them for the stream, so they're not broken. So I'm going to plug these in. But keep telling me how fun pinball is,
Go
Travis.
for it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, like Tom, do you have any games in your game room where you're just like, this theme is just so freaking goofy that you just don't even care? It's just fun to play though.
Yeah. Stars.
Yeah. Stars, right? I mean, I'm looking at one behind you, Paragon. That's pretty much like, if you're a pinball fan, that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean,
So it's
you don't
just-
play classic games for the theme. I mean, at least.
Yeah, otherwise Hulk and Spider-Man would be selling like crazy, right?
Mhm.
True.
Yeah.
True. I mean, yeah, some of the artwork might grab you, but you play pinball to play pinball. I don't I don't get all the, like, there's been a lot of like naysayers about the artwork, and I just don't see it.
Yeah.
Like maybe because, like 15, 20 years ago, we were getting, Photoshop art.
CSI.
Yeah. Yeah.
24.
Like, and
NASCAR.
I
Yep.
mean, sure. I mean, they were decent games, but I mean, this is way better artwork than a lot of the games out there. At least that's my opinion, but
No, Tom, you're right.
You're
'cause-
100% right.
Because it always goes like this, and we talk about this all the time, guys. If anybody has an opinion over something, you always want to ask, compared to what?
right.
Right? What are we comparing it to? Are we comparing it to early 2000s Stearns? Are we comparing it to like even early 2010s? Like the AC/DC and the Kiss art? Some people like that type of stuff. Some people don't. Like AC/DC had what? Angus's face, like smack
Yeah.
dab in the
Yeah.
middle of the playfield. So yeah,
Well-
it's just all dependent. Compared to what?
There's okay, yeah, and maybe this moves forward, but in the conversation, but I mean, long story short, King Kong's incredible. It's easy to be an armchair quarterback. It's easy to be it's everybody is allowed their opinion. Everybody's allowed their opinion.
And we have them
Um,
too. I mean, it's not.
We absolutely do.
I mean,
And mine is no more valid than Tom's or Travis's. Like everybody's
mine
allowed.
definitely
you did
matters on this
kill
podcast
Halloween,
more than anybody.
let's be honest.
It's true.
Yep.
And there's another pinball manufacturer that doesn't even exist anymore, thanks to Joel and his
I'm just- I'm
lunchboxes.
just-
Holy shit.
Just
Yeah.
chopping them down. But what I just don't understand, and I'm kind of getting sick of in a way, is just like the constant opinions of how a manufacturer should have done something, how they should have licensed it, how they should have included this, they should have done that. What a fail, what a miss. And okay, that's your opinion. Like, I understand there are people that apparently would have preferred King Kong to have nothing but assets from the original movie. They wanted old timey art.
Which I don't
They
understand.
wanted
I mean, I has anybody even seen a King Kong movie? I mean, what movies are we talking about? The
If
one
it's
Do
a-
you
for
remember what happened with Munsters?
the black
Like,
and white one.
Yeah. Which, by all means, if you think we're idiots right now, leave a
please
comment on the
do.
YouTube video, email us at tripledrain@gmail.com. But to me, it's like, because Stern went the way they did and made this essentially unlicensed, that gave Keith and his team complete freedom to do whatever they want with modes. And Keith's talked about that before, where it's like in Jaws, sure, they have 4 movies of assets, but theoretically every mode that's in Jaws kind of needs to fit within a scene or a situation of the movie. So it is restrictive in a way. And yeah, the assets are there, but somebody has to go and clip those assets and synchronize those assets and everything. While I think Keith told us and others that like, if they just are like, yeah, I'm going to do a this is what the mode's going to be, then they can let the creative team, the art department, actually make something cinematic for that experience. So there's pros and cons, but to me, I'm like, if you are going to leave a scathing review on how terrible King Kong is, I really hope you've played
without
the game.
even flipping it, right?
Yeah, I really hope you've played the game, because I'm telling you, like, I don't think you'll care that the gong is on the right side of the playfield when the jungle scene's on the left. Then why is the gong on the right? Because the right's supposed to be New York City. If you play the game, I don't think you will care where the gong is, because it shoots so well. It shoots so well.
It's an interesting critique. I've heard that from several people, and I think really what it boils down to is that anybody that has an opinion, I think it's perfectly valid. If you want to be negative, be negative. If you want to be positive, be positive. But the key thing to understand is that everybody that's on Facebook, on YouTube, that work outside of the pinball industry, they're not in the pinball industry as somebody that works, so they don't have necessarily intimate knowledge about how this all works, right? Their knowledge only goes as far as whatever source that they have. So that's why a lot of times you'll hear like, the game's not selling well. Well, that's because your source, they're not selling it well. That's really what that means. It doesn't mean it's industry wide. Yeah. So when you look at this, everybody that has an opinion, we got to remember the opinions come from a place that has no budget restrictions. The opinions come from a place that has no license restrictions. The opinions come from a place that doesn't have to basically oversee a full-on manufacturing company and oversee a bunch of employees and make sure that they can go home to their families with a paycheck. They don't have to worry about distribution networks. They don't have to worry about those relationships. So it's very easy to create this reality in your head about what a game should and shouldn't be, which is perfectly fine. We all do that. When you look at something you critique, it's like, well, you watch a movie, you're like, well, that was a piece of shit. Why didn't they do it this way? You know? I mean, we all do it, but it's just, I think that's the key part to understand, that if you are somebody that absorbs a lot of content, I'm a firm believer, we are always a summation of the main things that we bring into our inner circle and like our friends and the things that we consume. So if all you're consuming is like, negative, it's going to be awfully hard to really just see what's real, what isn't real, right? And some of the critiques are valid. They really are. I mean, that's perfectly fine. Nothing's 100%. Some of the critiques are valid. Like, I get it. If you're confused why a gong is on the right side, instead of the left when the river's over there, okay, cool, fine. If you're confused why there's New York in there, okay, cool, fine. You know, I mean, that just is what it is, because it's just an opinion. But at the same time, I've seen plenty of other games that are like this, and it's just because it's a pinball machine. At the end of the day, you can only fit so much in there. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, it's not a to scale accurate diorama of something. Like it's got to be a fun toy. You got to play the mechs. And I think it's, when I've listened to some critiques about scale, or like the layout doesn't make, the artwork, why is the artwork here? Mando actually, and the reason Mandalorian popped in my head, I have somebody that reached out to me that said they actually they've been listening to Triple Drain, but they went back and started at episode 1. They started at episode 1, and they've been listening through. First off, the audio quality was garbage. It was so bad. But I went back and I started listening to episode 1. And episode 1, the three of us, this was off the record, on the record is what we were calling ourselves, because we weren't officially part of TPN yet. We were talking about Mando, and the Mando reveal had happened, but there wasn't a stream yet. So the three of us were talking about how we think the game's going to shoot. But one of the things that was discussed was like, think about the Mandalorian layout. The Razor Crest is small. Grogu is huge. You have an ice cavern in the back left. You have a Mando helmet that's moving up and right, in the right. Like the layout of the way the artwork is laid out down below, there's, it's just images. Like there's nothing cohesive about that World Under Glass being consistent from front to back. Same thing with like X-Men. There's nothing cohesive about it. X-Men just looks like comic book panels all on the playfield. So it's
Joel, we
like,
can
where do you
go,
even want to start or stop
and
when
Keith,
it comes
we've
to
even alluded to that. You know, he wanted to do an Empire State Building with Kong on it, and he was like, it doesn't work in the space.
the scale? Mm-hmm.
You know, so do you want this like little miniature, like
oh yeah, mini Kong,
you know, building with Kong on it? Or, you know.
Well, we can go as far back as like Walking Dead, for instance. If we're really going to talk about assets in a game and where they're located and why they don't make sense, Walking Dead legitimately has on the left orbit, that's the barn.
Yeah.
And right next to it, the left ramp, that's CDC.
Yeah. And
Like-
then the ramp opens up and the girl's head is the same size as a barn. Right?
And that's
like,
underneath the CDC ramp is Bicycle Girl. Last I
that's what I meant.
checked, that was not by CDC.
And
Last I checked, Herschel's barn was not next door to the CDC. Can you imagine people today?
Let's not even get
losing
into
their
the
shit over
sound or the call outs or the fact that there's nothing from the TV show in it.
I know. It's,
oh man. It's,
those are the things where it's like, okay, fine. And that's my view at this point, where it's just like, if pinball pisses you off this much and you want to sit there and say how much Stern or whatever manufacturer did it wrong, then don't buy the game. Don't buy the game. Wait for the next one. Wait for the next one.
I think it's okay. I love those people.
It's okay.
Keep buying and keep complaining. Keep buying, keep complaining. You're a customer. Like, go ahead. Knock yourself out. Like, you can buy the whole factory and complain. Like, that's the freedom of being in America, right? We can say whatever we want pretty much and just, you know, that's the opinion. I think it's perfectly fine. It doesn't mean like us that we have to watch it or anything. It doesn't mean it's correct either.
Sure. No, we're not trying to. I'm not trying to come off as like, I don't know.
Well, look
like,
at Godzilla,
how positive
Joel.
we're being. But
no, you're right though. But let's look at Godzilla, right? Yeah. At some point, you're off of Earth, right?
Yeah.
But yet there's still a freaking building. Like, why doesn't the building just completely disappear off the playfield
when you're doing Planet X?
Yeah. How's there a skyscraper on Planet X? My God.
Gomez has talked about that what is it, like brilliance comes from restriction or like design, like if you are working in a sandbox, like you have to have some sort of restriction or some sort of parameters to work in
to fuel creativity.
Push you.
Yep.
Yes. So obviously at the end of the day, it is a physical box of lights and to me, I don't know, if you look at Gong and all you see are the things you've done that were done wrong. If you look at King Kong and all you're thinking is all the things they did wrong, boy, are you missing an amazing machine, because they did a whole lot right in that game. And if it's hard for you to see that, then that's unfortunate, because you're missing out. You're missing out on an incredible, incredible game.
I think really what it is, guys, is that there's just people out there that have it in their head what pinball should be. They have it in their head that they have the answers, but it is not based in reality that can actually be done financially, that can actually be done with respect to the license, that can actually be done with what's going on. Now, we got to think of things that are actually actionable, right?
Okay.
Going after the art in a certain style might be actionable. It might be. It depends what the licensor wants.
Well,
right?
They said that. They said, remember, Jeremy Packard said, you can do anything you want with King Kong, but it can't look like the King Kong from the movies. It can't look like the King Kong from whatever. What
exactly?
Was it King Kong that he was saying, or that's what he was saying? No, Deadpool. Remember, Deadpool was
Deadpool.
Like,
Deadpool, especially
anything you want with King Kong, but it can't look like the comics. It can't look like the unreleased video game. It can't look like the movies.
You're talking about Deadpool right now.
Deadpool.
Chucker.
It's like boom, 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 boom. So here's your. I made your sandbox. Now play. Do whatever you want. And
let's talk about Deadpool, for instance. Right. I remember back in 2018 when it came out. Everybody was complaining that it didn't have mechs to them. Like, they were so mad. This isn't like, we're not crossing new ground right now, fellas. Like, this has been for the past decade. You could go back on Chat GPT and ask it to scrape like a lot of like a lot of forums and message boards. I think I showed you guys the data I went through. It's the same exact freaking complaints in 2002.
Yeah.
Like price. There's
Not
no
enough
mechs. It's not
worth the
worth what it is.
price.
Yeah, somebody was like, this is $3,500 for a new inbox. This is what a ripoff. Like, they're never going to survive doing that. Like, it's too expensive.
It's
Like,
true.
it's the same thing. And,
Well, let's
you know,
let's steer this around. So sorry if we're coming off. We had one time that
I
we
don't
ranted.
apologize for anything,
I know
Joel.
you don't apologize, but there was one time we ranted about something, and I don't remember what it was. And I remember there was a comment. Somebody was like, "Oh no,
it might have been Avatar.
I don't remember. We ranted about something, and
was it
somebody
Wick
commented.
Cells?
Somebody commented like, "This is not what I want from this pod." Like this podcast is normally very lighthearted, and we have a lot of fun. So I hope you that's what's tough is I think people are missing with this reveal. People are missing the greatness of this game. And if that means we're shills, I don't make money for saying this game's good. This game is good. Go play the game.
Like, so I think there's a difference. I think there's probably a lot of people out there that agree that the gameplay's good, but I think they're just pissed off over the theme and they're pissed off over the art.
Yeah.
Which the color purple, too much purple.
Which means they enjoy pinball completely different. They're not a pinball player. That's like an art collector. And they're out there.
Sure.
Believe me, we sell LEs to people that they go into $10-20 million homes and they sit there and they get played maybe 30 times total. Like Joel will play the game more times on a Wednesday night than they will in a year.
That's fine. And this is actually the thing that I want to turn to, which is
okay, let's turn. Where are we turning, Joel?
I want to, when people talk, we've heard, no, this is online, this is other content creators. There are, why can't games be like X? Why can't they be like they used to? They used to be so great. They used to blah, 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 blah. One game that gets referenced a lot is Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings pinball. There are a lot of people that feel like Lord of the Rings is like an epitome of what pinball was. It was loaded. It had everything. And so I actually had an home use only Lord of the Rings that Zach got in on trade, and I streamed it the other week, and I actually had a few weeks with Lord of the Rings. And I have opinions. I have thoughts on it. I have thoughts on Lord of the Rings. So I want to first just talk. I know this is 20 years ago Lord of the Rings was made. So I'm curious your initial impressions of Lord of the Rings. But then what I want to do is I want to compare Lord of the Rings to what we got right now. We got Evil Dead and we have King Kong. Or we could compare it to Godzilla. But initial impressions right off the bat, Tom, Lord of the Rings. Have you owned Lord of the Rings? Do you own Lord of the Rings? What are your thoughts on Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, I used to own Lord of the Rings. I think it's a great game. I mean, don't get me wrong. But compared to today's games with the layout and the coding, I don't think it compares. I mean, it's a classic game, don't get me wrong, but like I don't think it holds up to games of today.
Sure. Okay.
It's like I said, I don't want to piss anybody off because like I said, it's a great,
let the hate flow through you.
It's a great game. But like, to me, it's just multi-ball all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a lot of like other things going on. You have like the gifts of the elves and that, but and some modes on the ring. But like, I don't know, depth wise, it's just not the same.
Oh no, I think those are all incredibly valid points. Travis, your thoughts on Lord of the Rings?
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I'm just not a fan of it. Like, I like the movies,
I still
just
like
the
it,
game.
but...
Well, just the gameplay style, I don't really care for. The rules, I don't really care for. But the reality is, it's like, I mean, even it being a George Gomez design, it's just not something I've been drawn to. But you know what design I am drawn to by Gomez, that's old school, is NBA Fast Break. Like, I love that game. It plays super fast, right? It lives up to its name. It's definitely like, to me, everything on there is well implemented. So it's just kind of like, I feel like when I look at Lord of the Rings, what it does really good is just take whatever mech it has, and it's very thematic, right? So we're talking about more like a thematic mech. with the Balrog that comes out. What is that? The upper playfield. What is that called? I can't
The
think
Path
of
of the Dead.
Souls or something.
Path of the Dead.
Yeah. So that, and I think, isn't there like some type of return that looks like a sword, or am I just thinking that's just
Aragon
Deadpool?
shot on the right will lock a ball. There's
Yeah.
the moving tower in the back. There's a diverter on one of the shots to go to the Path of the Dead in
Yeah.
front of another tower. The Shire. Well, let's talk. Okay,
Yeah.
so
I mean, it's
Yeah.
fine. I just like, obviously people enjoy it. It's not like my personal thing. If I see it in a game room, I wouldn't coin drop it. I would pick something else. That's just my personal thing.
So I think when some people talk about the epitome of what pinball used to be, they talk about they mention Lord of the Rings, and they typically mention Tales of the Arabian Night. They mention like these games that are just loaded. Oh, they're so loaded. What a world under glass. Don't get me wrong. I had a blast. Playing Lord of the Rings. I think it's really fun. But when I actually really looked at the game, I'm like, what is in this game? There are like 15 little figures that are essentially glued all over the playfield. Besides that, unique mechs. The unique mechs were you have a tower that shakes in the back corner. You have the ring magnet front and center, which is cool. But obviously you've seen that in Rush now. The Balrog, which swings out, that creates a really cool moment, a really cool mode. But you mentioned something there, Travis, the thematic toys. These are not toys like the Balrog. You really don't interact with him unless you're playing the Fellowship of the Ring multi-ball, or there's one other hurry-up mode. That's the only times you interact with that toy. That's it. That's the only times you interact with that toy. Besides, and then the back tower, the only time you really see that really do anything is there's like one or two little moments. But besides that, the ring, the only time you interact with the ring is to start a mode. It holds the ball. Or the destroy the ring. Destroy the ring moment, incredible. But that's it. That's the only time you're really interacting with these toys. The Path of the Dead is just rollover switches. That doesn't move. It's not a physical thing. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, the mechs that are in this game aren't ungodly great. Like they're okay. No offense, George. No offense. But I'm like, in my head, people were like, the game. Then I have it. I was like, it's okay. What I think the best, my favorite thing in Lord of the Rings is the Legolas ramp. That ramp is so smooth. That is the most satisfying part of that game. Every single time, in my opinion, you hit that Legolas ramp and the way it comes back, feels so good.
So I have to step in and point something out here because the obvious is happening right now. And Joel, this is what's okay. I'm going to compliment you here. So whatever.
Oh boy!
But
I'm recording.
This is what has been fun doing a podcast with you for the past several years. Is the fact that we've seen the evolution of you as a pinball player. And what we got to remember is that a lot of opinions that are out there on these games of the past, they're based on that these people that play them more times than not, they don't have like a wide array of data to choose from, right? A lot of mental representations from games of all eras. And that's not a diss, that's just like a fact, right? It's a limited scope on games that have been played. So therefore, according to whatever limited scope that they have, it's easy to draw back and say, okay, this is fun. This is great. Again, totally valid opinion, totally valid. But I think what we're seeing with you is you've played so many different games over the years. On Wednesday nights, you get games that come in. You've played all the modern games. We've all gone to shows. Tom, you know this because you own a bunch of games. You played in a ton of tournaments. We have all probably collectively played more games of pinball across more different eras than 99.9% of the entire Earth population. So we have a wide array to draw from. But what I'm getting at is that you're saying one of the fun parts to Lord of the Rings is how a ramp feels, how that shot feels. And so that's where it becomes. That's where the divergence comes. That when you start playing so much pinball, you start noticing shots. You start noticing the differentiation of how a ball feeds back to you, the combos. You start seeing ramps as the toys, which Stern is very upfront. That's how they view it. That's why they have the Helix. That's why they have the different wild returns and everything. And even when you look at J-pop games, they did something similar, right? Tales of the Arabian Nights, you see the ball doing all kinds of wild stuff on there. So this isn't anything that's new necessarily. it's just kind of the way that people form their opinions based on the mental representation that they have of games. So Joel, with you playing so much, I guarantee you that's kind of where that's coming from. You have so much to draw from that now you're able to compare all these other modern pinball machines against Lord of the Rings. You're able to compare what's fun, what's not fun. And I think that's the key part, that some people miss out on that. And that's why I highly recommend people to go to expos a lot and not just talk to people nonstop. Go play the weird games, play the games you haven't seen before, play the solid states, play the EMs, get a feel for that.
I just think for that to be the bar, for people to be using Lord of the Rings as the bar, what does Lord of the Rings do really well? The call outs, the music, the call outs, the fact that they have so many different call outs.
Yep.
They have all the characters' voices. That immersion is fantastic. I think so. The audio in that game is great. Sure, if we want to say visuals, the DMD, I really love the DMD animations, but if Stern was to modernize Stern, if they were to bring it into today, could you copy paste the game but then add all the LCD? Sure, I bet if they could get movie assets, that would be pretty awesome. But I found myself once again realizing how much I appreciate LED inserts, because if you stack a mode and a multi-ball in that, it doesn't handle it well. Like, you don't know which shots are for your mode or which shots are for the multi-ball, because the insert's either on or off. There's no color coordinated choreography. The modes in Lord of the Ring, there's 6, but they feel very samey. Like, they didn't really stand out. The one that stood out to me was War of the Ints, and that's because I could then shoot straight at the tower to go up to the Path of the Dead. So I found myself just choosing that mode. When I would start the game, I'd just choose that mode to help get towards that multi-ball. My entire goal when I play that game is destroy the ring. And my main takeaway was, like, if I want to go George Gomez to George Gomez, I much prefer Monster Bash. I think Monster Bash has better mechs. I think I think the layouts are very similar, but I think when overall immersion and whatnot, like even the code, even though Monster Bash code is more shallow, Monster Bash is, like, to me, I think that's that game. But what I wanted to compare was, for so many people, or to think, like, why can't we, like, or to be looking in the past, like, we cost cut so much now and the games don't have what they used to. It's like, let's compare. Let's not even talk about Stern.
I think that's just human nature.
Okay.
I really do, because you, like Travis was alluding to before, you see that in movies and stuff like that. I just think, not that people want something to complain about, but they're always going to look at something that came before it and go, well, I have a memory from this, and why can't it be like that?
Yeah.
I mean,
so no,
it's kind of like if those games were doing so great back then, how did, like, Star Wars Episode 1 come out? How did Revenge from Mars come out the way it was? Right? Like, why not pinball
stick with it?
Yeah, why was it being reinvented at the time?
Yeah. Well,
it's easy to look back 30 years later and look back and say, well, yeah, those are great. Like, maybe they stood the test of time, and that's really all it is a few of these games did. But let's face facts too. These games were not designed with the home user in mind, right? They were specifically designed to go into an arcade, give you 1 or 2 easy things to do to convince you to take 3 quarters or 2 quarters and put it in the coin mech. That's all it was. And to make you feel good about doing that, and then try to make you do it again. That's really all it boils down to. So now what we're seeing is it's just like, if you want games to go back to being like that, I think you're going to be very surprised about what that would look like today. I think people really would, because you're talking about shallow code. You're talking about repeating the same exact thing over and over again. I mean, that's what, like, Joel, we were talking about Medieval Madness the other day, right?
Yep.
It could be a fun game. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy playing it like 5-6 times a year. But man, I would want to run into a wall if I played that 100 times in my game room, like just the same thing over and over and over again, just because I just don't find it that interesting in terms of the layout and what happens compared to today, because now we're, in the dynamic layout era with multiple flippers and multiple pathways.
True.
So,
yeah.
So it just, it just depends. Like, but I could see why something like that because people remember that if they've been in pinball for a long time, they remember what it feels like back then to go to the arcade, and they're nostalgic about that.
So I am very sensitive, or I care a lot about what my friends and family or how they enjoy a game. And I was surprised when I know you do, but when I had Lord of the Rings, like my wife thought it was cool when the Balrog came out. Like, that's what I told her. I had to help her get to that multi-ball. And she's like, all right, that's cool. For the first time she sees the ring catch with the magnet. All right, that's cool. But once she had experienced it, she played 2-3 games on it the entire time it was here. Like, check. So I get it. It's a moneymaker. What if that operator would have got their dollar out of her, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no draw there. While I'm very curious, I have a Medieval Madness remake on order. I'm planning on getting one, and I'm super curious of how that's going to be received in the household. Is it going to be liked more or less than Cactus Canyon? Because Cactus Canyon is still the most played game in my collection, because that's what all my friends and family are drawn to. It's got exactly what you're saying, like easy to understand, instant satisfaction type of thing. But what I want to do is I want to compare Lord of the Rings. Unless you think it's better, we could do, we'll stick with Lord of the Rings. Let's compare Lord of the Rings to Evil Dead. We won't even pick on Stern. Evil Dead. Let's go category by category. Which game does it better, right? Okay, so right off the bat, art. Which game does it better, Evil Dead or Lord of the Rings?
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead does better. So the art has improved in 20 years. Way to go, Christopher Franchi. Well done. Yep. Sound design. Evil Dead or Lord of the Rings?
Ooh.
I mean, it was on White Star.
I mean,
yeah.
Okay, I would say the sound, if you're talking about sound design, it's probably better on Evil Dead. If you're talking about the actual, like,
we can do sound package
and everything.
I
don't
man.
probably have to go with
close.
I'd probably have to go with Lord of the Rings, but
yeah. I'm leaning heavily towards that, but I also am pulling a Joel, and I'm very much fence sitting right now, because I
think a wash is a solid answer, because
it's two different generations.
Was one of the best things. Yeah. One of the best things with Lord of the Rings was how good the sound is. But I also think the sound package in Evil Dead is really well done. You rip the spinner and you hear a chainsaw. It's pretty.
So you're talking about like the sound effects.
It's kind of like comparing like band music. The band pins always win the Twippies.
Oh, true.
So it's like, okay, you got this like epic motion picture, and then you have the Evil Dead, which is kind of like a cult classic kind of. So like it's like comparing apples and oranges, I think. But
okay, well, let's do this then. Mechs. Which game between Evil Dead, because Lord of the Rings is known for its world under glass?
I'd have to give Evil Dead.
I agree. I think Evil Dead has better mechs.
Well, there's just
probably have to go to say that. Yeah,
I mean, you got stuff popping out underneath the playfield. You got a subway. You got the lock with the house.
The hand.
The
cellar
gun,
door.
The shotgun bullet things.
Oh yeah, the shotgun shells.
Thank you. I mean, they certainly put a lot into that game as far as mechs and toys. Lord of the Rings, you got the sword lock, you got the magnet in the back, you got the Balrog. That's pretty much about it. I mean, you got the Path of the Dead, but.
Well, do you think, if we think of like games that are beloved with their mechs, so Medieval Madness, you have the castle, Theater of Magic, Tales of the Arabian Nights. Those, is there another game I'm thinking of or missing?
Monster Bash.
Monster Bash, sure. Okay, Monster Bash. Do you think Evil Dead or Monster Bash, which one has better mechs?
Tough question.
I mean, if you want to say better mechs, I think I prefer the Dracula, like going back and forth, than I do
out on the
like
popping
up.
Frank lifting up and like being a bash toy's kind of cool, but I mean, but like again, it's
a product of its time.
Yeah,
But I mean, to me, Monster Bash shoots better though. Like that's
I was going to get
the
to that.
difference.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is like, do you like Michael Bay or do you like Quentin Tarantino? Right? Do you just want to see a bunch of explosions? Because that's what happens when you put mechs on a playfield. It'll cover up a lot in terms of geometry. It'll cover up a lot in terms of like how the shots actually are. And that goes for like,
can't you like
that's not
both?
just Evil Dead. That's anything. I mean, like, who would be that director then? You know, I mean, that's what I mean.
Can't
like,
they work together?
Has there been a game to where it just shoots like butter and it is absolutely loaded with mechs? Like, loaded.
I think if you put 100 pinball players in a room, you're not going to get
it.
Okay.
Right. Everybody would have a different answer, but I think that's like the Moby Dick that we are all in search for. Right?
I think Godzilla Premium is your closest bet.
And that's probably why it's typically number one.
Number one. And the only reason I say that because the Mechagodzilla
is Evil Dead still number one on Pinside?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look.
But Evil Dead. The reason I wanted to talk so much about Evil Dead, and Travis, you mentioned it earlier, is thematic mechs.
Yeah, that's the difference.
That is one thing I love about Evil Dead.
Godzilla's number one. Evil Dead's number two.
Think about that. Godzilla has that too. Right?
True.
You have a building that starts collapsing, and then it changes the direction of your shot.
Well,
you know, then you have a heat ray.
The rotating targets.
That's a shield.
Yeah,
that's a shield for Mechagodzilla. Like it makes thematic sense.
What I meant by thematic mechs is this is something, like I said, with Lord of the Rings, there are certain moments in Lord of the Rings where you are now really focused on a mech, like the Balrog, bashing the Balrog during that multi-ball. That's one thing that I think Evil Dead does exceptionally well, is there are different times where all of a sudden that mech is the main thing that you're working at, whether it's the hand, there's a certain mode for the hand, there's the cellar doors. It's not like an Avatar. You go to that lower playfield a lot. That lower playfield in Avatar with Jersey Jack, but yet the lower playfield on Evil Dead, there's only two real modes that you use that lower playfield, and that's why. And they make it a moment because of that, and that's. So I think that's something that Evil Dead does really well, is they have unique mechs. They got a lot of unique mechs, but then they also highlight each mech at different points in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And how that blends in with the code. And I just think that's they do that really well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just goes to show that there are certain themes that lend itself to being able to incorporate mechs associated with said theme a lot easier than others.
Okay.
Right? Like, for instance, let's look at Dune.
Okay? Oh, yeah.
Like you got the sandworm, so that automatically, like, you know, you can kind of treat it like it's coming out of the playfield because that's makes thematic sense. The way that they use the pop bumper as a thumper, that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's like certain things that you could look at that you could do that. If you look at like the Uncanny X-Men, right? As much as I absolutely hate that they break away the wire form, the giant hand, it makes sense if you look at it as a bridge and the thing's a city, right? That's just, you find ways to do something like that. But that's, you know, you can't do that with every theme though. Right? It's really impossible to do. I mean, like Cactus Canyon, for instance. Yeah. They added in what the doors.
Saloon doors,
Yeah, the saloon doors afterwards. Like that wasn't there before. And I think the best mech that they had on there before was what? Like Bart's face, that you just hit it and it just falls in front, or like a train that just kind of goes across the top of the playfield.
Yeah, I mean the mech that I really like on Cactus Canyon are the just the pop-ups. The fact that those pop up and they're not popping up all the time. They make moments when those pop up.
You're talking about just like the drop targets,
shootout guys, the quick
draw,
the quick draw events. I love that. But I don't. I just really, maybe to wrap it up. But it's like with Lord of the Rings. Don't get me wrong. I had a great time with it playing. But it was, when it came to code, Tom had mentioned multi-ball. To me, every time I stepped up to that game, it was, I want to destroy the ring. To destroy the ring, you have to play all three multi-balls. You got to qualify them and play them. So yeah, I was really just pursuing the game to get me to that point, so I'd have an opportunity to destroy the ring. In the 2 weeks I own it, I destroyed the ring 3 times. I was proud of myself.
That's fantastic, Joel.
We're proud of you, Joel. That's excellent.
Step though was, thank you. Theoretically though, I saw everything in that game except for I did not see There and Back Again. I was one shot away from
you
starting
see
There and
Valinor?
Back Again. And then if that's the thing, if you do There and Back Again, there's a whole lot more I would have had to do to get to that final Wizard of
You
Valinor,
wouldn't have done it. Don't worry about it.
If I own the game a few years, maybe.
Maybe
but
if you're doing a glass off tutorial for 3 hours, you would have made it. You do it.
maybe. But I understand. To me, it's like when you put a wizard mode in a game that's going to be that hard to qualify, I just don't even myself. It's like I'm not like it's almost like it's not there. I just that's not. It's out of my skill. It's out of the skill range of 99% of people that touch
modern
that game.
pinball now. You can play it right at the start button now.
Challenge
with all your
mode.
Stern pinball machines.
I have some questions. Well,
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
Tom, go
cue the
for it.
Tom Talks
Let's do it,
music.
Tom.
Wait,
Ooh.
let me. Here we go.
Tom talks. He's got something to say. Tom talks. He's got nothing to say. Tom talks. Tom talks.
I got nothing.
We have no video for that, so you're just going to see the three
Hey,
of us just
shut up.
grinning.
It's Tom Talks time. That's why you
Grinning
played
during
it.
that.
Joel-
But anyways, okay, Tom, it's all
Joel,
you.
your hour and a half's done. I was just thinking about a couple things, actually. We were talking about Evil Dead. Harry Potter's coming out. Do you think it was a mistake that Spooky limited the number of Evil Deads? And do you think that JJP is making a mistake by right now doing unlimited CEs, LEs of their Harry Potter that's coming out?
No and no.
No and no.
I was gonna say yes to the first one, and then actually I think I'm yes and yes, but then again I'm an idiot and I'm not in sales and marketing, so Travis probably is right. But this is Tom Talks, so
Yes.
Tom, let's start with your opinion.
Okay. I think as far as Evil Dead goes, I mean, obviously they sold out. They could have possibly sold some more. So I would say yes to that, but it's one of those things. How do you know? And that's a hard part of not knowing what you have, I guess. But plus they probably have other stuff coming down the pike, so they don't want to limit themselves to just making one game. And then Harry Potter, yeah, I think it's a little odd that they're having unlimited collector's editions, because isn't the point of collector's editions to have some kind of number in mind to limit it?
Scarcity?
Scarcity, yes.
Collectability.
Imagine.
But those are my
Yeah.
thoughts. I'm
Great
out of here,
thoughts.
everybody.
Great-
See you.
I love it, Tom Graf. Excellent.
Tom talked. He had something to say. Tom talked. He had nothing to say. Tom talked. Tom talked.
I got nothing. Thank you.
We're not
Okay.
worthy, Tom
Oh,
Graf.
no. So
Joel-
there we go.
Wow,
Joel,
we're going to play
cue
it
it
again.
again.
You're
Yeah.
that
Somehow
excited,
hit the
Joel.
button of loop, so we're just gonna keep it going. Keep it.
The whole
No, those.
episode.
Thank you, Tom. Thank
No,
you, Tom.
I was just thinking about that. I mean, I was also thinking, as far as Harry Potter goes, we've been talking about King Kong so much. What a position JJP is in. They know they have an awesome theme coming out,
Yeah.
and the naysayers are going to really nitpick this game. I mean,
Oh yeah.
7 or 8 movies. Everybody's going to want this in it, that in it. I kind of feel for JJP, to be honest with you.
I mean,
It's a
Jack
no-win
already
situation.
said
Well-
it's loaded, though, right? He's come out and he told
It's-
everybody to save their money at
It's true.
TPF. And he was talking about how it has everything. It's just like WAS, right? Didn't he mention that at TP? Or he alluded to it? I could've swore
Expectations
he
are
did.
everything, and first impressions are everything.
Yeah.
I said it's a no-win situation. I think JJP is going to come out. They're going to be just fine. They got a killer theme and they're going to have a ton of sales.
I hope
are you going
it's
to make
awesome.
everyone happy? No.
I hope it's awesome.
So why, Joel, are you on the yes and no.
Okay,
Fine.
so just
Or were you yes and yes?
He was
I think
yes
I was
and
yes and yes. The only reason I was
Okay.
saying yes and yes, but I understand. Do I think Spooky could have sold more Evil Deads. I think the overall opinion of Evil Dead is only going up, and that's just because more and more people are having the ability to play it. And once you've played it, I think there's a lot. I mean, we saw it at TPF. There were a lot of people that rolled in there, neutral or even maybe negative towards Evil Dead, and then they played it and they're like, wow, this game's good. So that's only going to continue. I think they could play more. With that said, I was talking to Bug at TPF, and when they sold out, you could see the relief that just fell on him. And he goes, what's awesome is for the next year, all I have to do is make games and go fishing. Like that's all. That's literally like as a company, they set a goal for themselves. They achieved the goal. That is a win. Hugs all around. Let's knock it out. Let's make these games and get excited for the next one. That's good enough. Like that's what they want. So to leave money on the table means they don't want to make Evil Deads for the next 2 years. They want to spend a year of their time making this game because they're excited for the next one.
Like I was
Dune
saying,
or Barrels of Fun saying the same thing. They're okay with just I want to commit a year of my life making this game because
we got to
excited
remember too. It's a lot easier to say, okay, since a company sells out of a game like 5 months later into the announcement that, they could have made more. It's like, no, I would have panicked if they would have sold out day one or day two, like a true sellout, then I'd be like, okay, maybe something needs to adjust. Okay. Like whether it's price or amount that goes out, whatever, most likely price in that instance. But, by doing it the way that they did, now they give themselves a way to actually scale up. Yeah. Right? Like scale up the operation in order to actually charge more than what they charge to get past that. Because right now they're staying underneath that 10,000 mark. And of course, knowing what raw materials cost and knowing what's coming and knowing the cost of manufacturing, it's going to be awfully hard to stay under that. Right? And people were already going up to 11.5 on it anyways, if they got the butter cabinet. So people that got the butter cabinet were effectively paying a price that was higher than even a Godzilla LE from 2021. So the price can get up there pretty good if you want it to. So I would say that the amount of LEs that they had ended up being just perfect for their cadence of manufacturing, the way that they're going about it, and probably the next themes coming out as opposed to anything else. So I don't really see it as leaving money on there. I see it as a pathway that gives them an indication of how to treat the next few releases in terms of how they want to roll it out, in terms of how they want the market to react to it.
Yeah.
Now with JJP, I don't see how you can have something like Harry Potter with a license that costs as much as it does. I don't know if it's public, so I'm not going to say a number, but I don't see how you can limit that machine in any way. You would have to sell it for 25,000 if you limited it. Like, I just don't see, if people think $13,000 is a ton now, like, my God, just to cover the cost of it, it would have to be astronomical on something like that.
So you're saying for JJP to recoup its investment, their view is we're going to go unlimited because we need to sell.
I don't know that.
Well,
I don't know that for sure, but that's what I'm inferring.
Yeah, we're assuming the license costs a ton of money.
Well, so knowing what the license cost, I'm telling you, it's not cheap. No. I'll put it to you this way, right? Like, HomePin's not going to grab that license anytime soon. But what I'm getting at is, guys, is that you have to look at what a company is currently doing, right? Because whatever a company is currently doing, if you see what their actions are and you see what their strategies are, you better believe them. It gives an indication for what's going on. It gives clues for what's going on. And so when you see that JJP, they've always done a ton of CEs, right? Like 1,000 or whatever. They've always done a ton of LEs, 5,000. It's always been blowing this out. But when you look and you see, there's always CEs like outside of what happened with GNR. Like GNR, when it got released, they did really well. But after that, there's always CEs available. Like right now, we were just talking about it the other day. Like you can still find an Elton John CE right now. You can still find Avatar CE. So they're all out there. I think it's just a matter of, it's awfully hard to judge what the true demand of this is going to be. So if I'm a manufacturer and I say, okay, this product's unlimited, that means I'm not necessarily selling it direct to customer nonstop or, in perpetuity. But it also means, hey, you as a dealer, you're not just going to be like just down to your allocation and having to like fight over, well, you only get 5 CEs or you only get 8 CEs or whatever. It's like if you can somehow market it and you can go find 20 people that want to buy it, like go hog wild. And you look at what happened when they announced Harry Potter officially, we saw Facebook and everything absolutely flooded with every dealer that sells those games. It was the same. It's just like content creation, right? Everybody's saying the same shit, just in different ways. That's just exactly what happened.
What is cool in a way is being that it's you can go to whatever dealer you want at that point. Like I think there are issues with Stern LEs where, hey, I want to use this dealer, but we know their LEs are already spoken for. So then you're shopping around and you're going to end up with somebody you don't know, but you finally found some dealer halfway across the US that happens to have one. So there's some good to it, but to me, I just feel like on reveal day, there's going to be a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, I'm in on the CE. But then if they like the art package of the LE just as much, they're going to be like, nah, let me swap to the LE. And
I mean, it's tough because if you're going unlimited, Joel, you're basically taking you're taking that safety net out of buyers for your secondary market to actually lead to a perceived like even in value, right? Like you'll keep the value in a game. I don't see how, if it's unlimited, it's going to be awfully hard. But you're also looking at the play that it is definitely a short-term play for like generating maximum revenue, right?
Sure.
And so you're wondering how that's going to go because you're doing that at the expense of doing something that's like based on dynamic pricing also, that you're going to go high. You're going to keep cranking as much as you can. And that sucker's cranked all the way up as far as it can go. And now you're just like, okay, floodgates are open. Right. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. $15,000 and no limit to it at all.
It's just strange. And I mean, this whole reveal, I think we've talked about this before, why doesn't Stern do their like, tell us what their next 5 reveals are going to be. And I think the answer to that is exactly what we're seeing with Harry Potter. Like the amount of people that are like, I got to wait till Friday. I got to wait to see what that is. I'm holding my money. It's every conversation when you're talking about Dune, when you're talking about this, it's like, nope, now I gotta wait. And I, good on JJP for creating that type of conversation where even though, we're talking about King Kong, people are still thinking about Harry Potter because I gotta wait. It could be amazing. So, so now I understand why somebody like Stern wouldn't want to do that to themselves.
Well, it definitely happened after Guns N' Roses when you look at, how everything went up, right? Prices went up, the amount went up, but it's an interesting dynamic because you're basically looking at shifting a product from being exclusive to more or less scaling it.
True.
Right. And so if you scale it, you're doing that at the expense of that title of exclusivity. And that's what's interesting. When you see all of Stern Pinball's press releases, it still calls these highly collectible items, right? So that part fascinates me just from a marketing point of view and just from a manufacturing and distribution point of view, that you produce a product of so much and still try to keep that exclusive brand. And that's what we're like, if people think Stern's doing that with 1,000, JJP's like, hold my beer. I'm going to freaking put some nitrous oxide in this and really get going. So,
and it's going to be, we've talked about this too. The JJP, I mean, we've toured JJP.
You've toured.
Oh yeah.
You
toured.
Right. Did you notice? Did you notice
I was
the
interested.
stab?
Yeah. It wasn't meant to be that way.
Tell us, are they here? You can actually answer this.
Yes.
And do you think, let's say, because everybody's been saying, or say everybody, there's some people that are saying like JJP will outsell Kong 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 7-1, whatever.
7-1.
Whatever. We hear it all. And people start parroting that. You've been to the manufacturing area.
I have.
Are they going to be capable of putting out 10,000 units? Like, let's say they get 4,000 or 5,000 within the first 3 months, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, would they even be capable of getting those machines out within a year?
No, I don't think. I don't Well, maybe the question is how many are they doing currently? Because that's how many they're going to be able to make in a year. Like that's
Right.
unless they've scaled. I mean, if they expect this to be a huge sale, thing for them, which I hope it is. But it's just,
see, that's what I think is going to
they're
happen.
not-
I think there's going to be like a massive push
yeah,
the first day, the first
Yeah.
week, right? And then it's going to tail off. Now, it's not going to drop off completely like some themes do. Like, I think it's going to be a long tail theme. But the problem is, if you have a long tail theme, your manufacturing capabilities has to still sustain that.
yeah.
So
I'm
it's like,
that's going to be a big question.
Right.
Is how does JJP, and maybe they realize like, hey, sales were so good, we expanded the factory or whatever. Like maybe, but I know the factory that I saw, it looks great. It's just it
Right.
is like 1/4 the size of Stern, maybe even less. And so if they're talking thousands of games,
Yeah.
it's going to take a while.
Well,
It's
and
going
there-
to take a while for them to
therein
make
goes the point. That means you're going to have a group of people that put in an order, right? And if it gets backed up and they're at the back of the line, you're waiting several months for it. And on top of that, a lot of people are saying, well, Stern might be in trouble because Jersey Jack has Harry Potter compared to Kong, this and that. But like, what do they think is going to happen if Harry Potter introduces somebody to the pinball industry?
They're
Do
going
they-
to want to buy another game.
They're going to want to buy another game.
Yeah.
And who has the biggest catalog out
That
there?
would be Stern.
Oh, I thought it was
That would
American.
be Stern.
Yeah.
So that would be Stern.
Yeah.
So they have the biggest manufacturing like the current production.
Yeah.
And that's what people are going to see. So it's just kind of like, to me, Stern is in a win-win with this either way. If I'm at Stern, I'm cheerleading JJP to knock it out of the absolute park,
Yeah.
because it's not like all the pinball enthusiasts that are like, is it JJP or is it Stern? Is it this and that? They've already spoken. They've either bought their JJP games or they haven't. This isn't like anything new. Like by seeing Harry Potter revealed, they're not all of a sudden going to be like, okay, Avatar, Elton John, Dialed In. Like I got to go back and get all those games. So I think really it's just, that's what I'm most interested in, is to see how much JJP puts into this launch.
Yeah.
And if it's unlimited, you better believe they're going to try to get outside of the pinball enthusiasts. They're going to try to go way beyond that, way beyond the reach that currently is. Because that's, how else do you recoup it? Right.
I hope they do. I hope they reach out to some big influencers outside of pinball or some celebrities or this or that. And I hope Harry Potter ends up being a huge catalyst for pinball growth.
Yeah, I hope so
and
too. I really
Listen
wanted
to me.
Yes.
All
Hot
right.
tubs.
Another Tom
Hot
Talks.
tubs.
Let's do it.
Hot tub. That's the yes.
You're saying hot tub time machine.
Yeah.
That's the theme.
Unfortunately, looking at the time, I do need to wrap up. But the good news is, I don't know for sure. But I would assume, being that we've been recording every 3 weeks to every month, Harry Potter will probably be announced between now and next episode. So we'll have more answers. We'll have more thoughts and answers when we record that episode. But we do need to wrap it up. And this was an interesting stuff, an interesting episode for sure. And at the end of the day, I love this hobby. I know Travis and Tom loves this hobby. And if pinball's frustrating you, I'm sorry, because there's so much fun here, and I wish it wasn't so frustrating to you. Go play some pinball. Go play a game you like. If that game's from 20 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever, go enjoy the game.
Things will be fine. Like I've heard a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people say like King Kong has made it to where Stern's in trouble. This and that. Like Kong is legitimately our third best selling game since Godzilla. Like in the past 4 or 5 years, and that's after like 10 cornerstones.
Yeah.
So like this is like looking at a YouTube video, right? We're not freaking out being like, oh, this is 10 and 10. Shit, what do we do now? It's doing just fine. That's the reality of pinball. Not all themes, not all games are going to come out and just be absolute grand slam for sales every single time. You cannot break records. You cannot just go up in perpetuity. That's not the way reality works.
And I know, I read the YouTube comments on the Flipping Out channel, and then even on the stream, somebody made comments about like, Oh yeah, Kong's not selling well. There's LEs in stock, and Zach was like, if there's LE, if a dealer has an LE that he wants to sell Zach's like, I'll buy him. I'll buy him. I'll buy him out.
Okay,
It's just like,
I gotta look at the camera real quick. My God, because we talk about this all the
his
time.
glasses out.
There
People,
we go.
Stern is a B2B business. All right.
Yeah.
If you see a limited edition game in stock, Stern has already made their money on that game. Like they've already sold through. It blows my mind when people see inventory, when they see a product still in stock, that means that the manufacturer's in trouble. Do we freaking go to Walmart and just look at the shelf and be like, holy shit, there's like a bunch of Tums right there. That business is in trouble. I can't believe this. Like what? What in the world? People forget that Stern's not selling direct to consumer. Like 98% of their business is going to be like B2B. That's the part I don't understand, guys. I don't understand it. Okay.
I don't know. It's hard to.
That's my Travis talks.
Now that you work in the industry and actually look at marketing and sales stuff on a daily basis, it's really hard for me to discredit your opinions anymore because I think there is some validity to them.
I have to hold back so much on this, but I will tell you straight up.
Yeah.
I have listened. Finally, I've went out. I've listened to YouTube channels. I've read message boards. I've been on Facebook. I've listened to everything. Like everybody's in fucking la la land. I don't it doesn't match up with the reality I see. It doesn't match up with the data I see. And again, it's only going to be as good as whatever source you have and how good they're going about it. But again, we try to appeal to retail, not just pinball enthusiasts. We got to get outside of that. And that's how we're able to push sales. That's how we're able to introduce people to pinball. And we'll get into it next time because once Harry Potter comes out, then we'll be able to jump into why LE buyers do what they do, because they're definitely segmented. Like it's not just people that just want to flip games and make money. I know it's shocking. There's a lot of people out there who just want to buy a game that's top tier, that's new in box because it's cool, and they don't care about the money.
True.
That's valid. One thing I think you did forget to mention this episode was
what I forget?
When I streamed King Kong the other night, I battled the T-Rex, which is currently the
it's always about you.
Okay. No,
that's the biggest. That's the thing that's furthest in the game right now. If you want
to go see somebody play,
and I did
a mini wizard mode in the most
I think
non-mini wizard way possible.
I was excited to be there. I was living in the moment. I asked Jared. I said, "Tell me what's on the screen." He read one thing. I didn't know what I was doing. I was excited to be there. I spelled King Kong. I essentially reached the point of the code where as far as code, the words you're looking for, Travis, is I'm proud of you. I don't think you've said those are the words.
When I watched you play,
wizard.
Tom, I watched him play without the sound on, and I thought he was in some hurry up mode because he was just fucking chimp flipping like crazy.
Dude, I didn't know
double
what was
flips.
going on.
He was flipping the left flipper when the ball's on the right hand side. I'm like, why the hell is he doing that for?
I thoroughly enjoy watching Joel and Jared, and I think everybody should.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom.
But it was impressive that you got there, and that should tell everybody if Joel can do it. Everybody can enjoy that game.
Yeah, that game's great, man. But,
there we go.
Okay, let's plug it up. Let's do our plugs. Tom, plug away, man.
You can find me, of course, here on Triple Drain. I also do this other little thing called Fox Cities Pinball. We're going to be streaming the big tournament Yegpin next week. I will be out of the country for that, so tune in for that.
Awesome. Well done,
Thank
Tom.
you.
I will also be out of the country next week. So, Travis, you're going to have to hold down the entire country for Triple Drain.
Cool. I'm on
Travis, plug away, man.
Yeah, I'm Travis. I'm on. I stumbled over my words. Sorry.
I'll edit that out for you.
No, leave it in there. I'm on Triple Drain. I nearly said I was on something else, not Triple Drain. I was going to mix up my work with Triple Drain. I was about to say I'm with the Pinball Drain. I was about to say
with
that.
Pinball Drain, yes.
Never mind. Triple Drain Pinball Company. You know where to find me.
Yes.
You lovely people. Thank you for listening and watching.
Absolutely. And and I am Joel. So you can find me here on Triple Drain, as well as the Flipping Out Pinball stream every Wednesday night. Not this Wednesday, but every Wednesday night with my brother. We're having a great time with that. So check out if you want to see gameplay tutorials, all that stuff. Check out the Flipping Out YouTube channel, as well as actually Tom has gameplay and tutorials on Fox City's YouTube, and Travis has gameplay and tutorials on the Pinball Company. So there's plenty of media out there to consume. But, hey, we really appreciate everybody.
More depressing.
No, that was the dumbest comment ever. Oh man. Well, hey, yes, there's plenty of content out there. Thanks to everybody that listens. Check out our stuff on Silverball Swag. We had somebody in Milano, Italy order a shirt. So shout out to that person. Thank you for whoever ordered that last month in Italy. So yeah, wow. All right. Like always, Tom, you get the last words.
Later, everybody.